We homeschooled for 12 years. We homeschooled our kids from kindergarten through 8th grade. And no, they were terrible spellers and they were wonderful readers. So it was really frustrating to me right from the get-go about how to create an opportunity for them to remember how to spell hard words, because no matter how much phonics we did and no matter how many programs we used, we never could get over the spelling hump. And it was really frustrating for them, and it was really frustrating for me too, because I was already a teacher and I couldn't figure out how to make this transition. So when I went back to school to get the doctorate, even though I was really majoring and focusing on reading, I was very involved in the reading recovery program. No matter what techniques we used to teach to read, spelling was still the outlier that was always the problem that nobody could solve. So we did some extra research in reading and found the Henderson research, and then started really working through all those developmental stages and trying to figure out what the piece to that was, and then understood over time that it was the copy work that was so critical, because you have to add that kinesthetic movement to get into long-term memory. And the other caveat of that was that it had to be something that was contextually interesting at the appropriate reading level. So over time, as I worked with more and more children, and as many good readers as poor readers, we realized that through this kinesthetic movement, through working with context and interesting passages, that not only did it improve their spelling, but we got their reading to new levels as well. So all of it became really integrated, and as we learned more and more about the brain research, we realized that this was a win-win for every subject area. My reading clinic primarily services homeschool families whose children are having trouble learning how to read, or having trouble with spelling, or having trouble with math. And when the parents come to me, even if their children are good readers, they frequently are having trouble teaching them how to spell. So this program really developed out of a need to help homeschool parents get a better handle on what techniques to use in order to get their children up to speed. And whenever a child is having trouble with reading, he is always having a problem with spelling. Spelling and reading are the same neurological function. And the decoding and the encoding are so entwined, and yet in and of themselves completely different skills, that spelling was just the natural segue. Before we actually started this program with Matthew C., we ran a pilot for a full year. We had 95 families and we had 168 children that were involved. The parents were responsible for doing the program daily, and every week they had to email me back the responses of the children and then the parents themselves as to what worked, what didn't work, what they liked, what they didn't like about the program. So we were able to run for a full school year. We monitored these 95 families. I selected those families from my own clientele at my reading clinic, and I specifically chose families whose children were having trouble with readings and spelling. We did not on purpose use any families or any children at all that were already good spellers. We just used children that were struggling, because we really in real time wanted to know what worked and what didn't work. They reported weekly through email, and then once a month they sent me writing samples from the children so that we could compare on a month-to-month basis the improvement of the children. And it was amazing how the handwriting improved, the time shortened. The kids we had lots of parents tell us that even by the second or third month, that the kids would get up first thing in the morning and they would just go ahead and do their copy work. And now we wanted the parents to be involved in that, but they said that the kids were so comfortable with the passages and knew what to do that they loved using the color, and they would just go ahead and they would find their chunks and they would copy it, and they would have it all done before the parents even got back to the table to do their work. So that was really exciting, because the kids were actually enjoying it and they were feeling successful, which was keeping the reticular activating system quiet and the amygdala calm, and they were really taking in tons more information because they were just so relaxed with the routine of the process itself. Studying spelling in English is really important because we are not a phonetic language. And in order to communicate well and to write easily, we need to have automatically available from our brains how to spell words like could and said. So it facilitates the writing process at large, because if we're really working on figuring out how to spell words so that we can communicate our thoughts, if we have to stop and really labor over each word, we lose the continuity of the sentence. So automatic spelling is critical, and because it's so difficult in English, we just find with this language you have to devote a fair amount of time to it on a consistent basis, just like math, where there are certain things that certain words you just need to learn how to spell, and you just have to be able to rote memorize them. And it's virtually impossible to just memorize a million words. So we have to devote time to spelling, because otherwise we just can't communicate.